Hi, everybody. This is Pam from Around the Table Yarns, and this is Mix and Match Blanket Club for the month of May 2024. And this month, we're going to talk about three different mosaic crochet stitches in our book, Mix and Match, Crochet Blankets. I'm going to talk about stitch number 33, Gentle Waves, which is a little bit different than what we did last month. I'm going to do number 35, Stripey Diamonds. And actually, I'm just going to talk about that one. I'm not going to demonstrate it. And then the last one I'll do, and I will demonstrate, is number 37, Mosaic Bobbles. And then that will close out our segment on Mosaic. I think you'll get the idea of everything you need to know to do the mosaic stitches in this book. And then next month, we'll go on to the filet crochet. But let's start with number 37, Gentle Waves. So let's set up our camera here. Let's zoom out just a little. There we go. So what I've got here for you is we started this in the morning class. I'm actually going to fold this over right here. Up till here, like I said, this is number 33, Gentle Waves. This is pretty much what we had been doing previously. Everything was lining up. We were doing repeats and getting nice stitches. And all of our mosaic double crochets, they might be offset or alternating, but they were all lining up and we were getting nice straight lines. In the Gentle Waves, we're getting some not so straight lines, and we're getting a little bit of a shift into the pattern. And this technique is, you have to pay a little bit more attention because we don't want things to always line up on top of each other. So you really have to know what row you're on, okay? So this was my yellow here, the gold is color A and the gray is color B. So here's how I pulled this out, and I didn't write down what row I had completed in the morning class. So this will be a good little test to see. So this was my foundation single crochet row. So that was row 1 and 2. And then the gray is row 3 and 4, 5 and 6, 7 and 8, 9 and 10, 11 and 12, 13 and 14, 15 and 16, 17 and 18, 19 and 20. So it should be ready to start row 21. Okay. And you can see we've already, the first rows 1 through 14 is nice and straight. And then we started to show the shift. So I'm going to continue to show how the pattern shifts. You're doing the same, you're not changing the number of stitches, you're just changing the spaces in between the stitches to get this nice little change. All right, so I'm on row 21. We chain 1, I switched to my new color, and I've chained 1, and I'm going to do 4 single crochets. Two, 3. All right, and then I'm going to do 2 mosaic double crochets. And if you'll remember, the mosaic double crochet means that we're going to make a double crochet 3 rows down. So not in the last row I crocheted, not in the row before that, but in the 3rd row down, which should be the same color that I currently have on my hook. So I'm going to yarn over, and you might have to, and we want to work in front of those chain stitches. Oops. I feel like I'm a little blurry here. So sometimes it's helpful to fold those chains because I want to work in front of those chains. I want to make my double crochet into the same color, and then it pulls up and it covers those chains of gray that we made. So I'm making 2 of those. Okay. And then I'm going to do 6 single crochets. So I'm skipping the chains. And I'm going to make 6 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And again, and 2 mosaic double crochets, 3 rows below. And I'll do that all the way to the last 3 stitches and do 3 single crochets. So again, skipping those chains. 1, 2, and 3. Chain 1 and turn. Now I'm on row 22. Chain 1 and single all the way across. So this was a pattern that was, as I single across here, this pattern was written with a multiple, the book says a multiple of 8 plus 10. And because I did the foundation single crochet, I did a multiple of 8 plus 9. Remember, you don't need that extra turning chain if you're not doing a chain row and then a row single. When you do the foundation single crochet, you're combining those two into one row, and you don't need the turning chain. So you remove one of the chains in the count that she's given you for the book in order to get your repeat correct. Single crochet across. I'll remind you how we change colors here. My last single. Do the final yarn over in my new color or my old color, carrying it up as I go. And don't pull it very tight. Just let it kind of come up naturally. And you'll keep your sides nice and straight. I'm going to chain 1 and turn. And now you can see I've completed the mosaic stitches now. Twice I've shifted. So we started these 3, boom, 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 are on top of each other. And now this is shifted over one space. And now we've shifted over another space. Same over here. We've shifted over one, we've shifted over another. But because you get this, you've got the blocks of the color in between, you don't get those harsh lines. It looks like a nice gentle slope. All right. Row 23, chain 1, which I did, 5 single crochets. Last time I started a right side row, I did 4 single crochets. So I'm shifting yet again 1 stitch over. 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to skip 2 stitches and chain 3. Remember, we always chain an extra for the number of stitches we're skipping. Skip 1, skip 2. And then I'm going to do 6 single crochets. That extra chain keeps it from being too tight and doesn't pull on your work and make it pucker. If you happen to be a tight chain person. If you do chain very tightly, or in the alternative, if you chain very loosely, you can adjust that, because we know in this pattern you're not relying on the chains for stitches. They are just holding the space where the mosaic stitches are going to go in the corresponding rows. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1 more. So if you chain very tight, you could add an extra chain. And if you chain very loose, you could just do 2 chains. I'm going to chain 1, 2, 3, skip 2, and I'll finish with 2 single crochets. And chain 1 and turn. And remember, when you're doing the second row of the same color, you're really mimicking what you've already done. So I'm going to be putting singles where there are singles, chains where there are chains. And the only time that is different is on the stitches that I am. Now, when you're doing a, let's zoom in. This is a good example. When you're doing a single crochet, remember when you're working back and forth, turning your work over, the top of your stitch is slightly to the left. So I've done one single crochet. The top of this stitch is right here. It's not in the chain space. It's in the little pocket right before the chain space. Two singles, and then it should line up very nicely. 1, 2, 3, 6 singles. So here's my single crochet, and the top of it is, in this case, it looks like it's right above, but when you're coming into a chain space, it can look like you need to go into the chain space. Make sure that you don't in this particular pattern. 1, 2. But the rule about the top of the stitch being slightly to the left when you're working back and forth, that holds regardless any crochet pattern. If you're staying on the right side, as if you're doing something in the round, like a granny or something like that, then the top of the stitch is always going to be slightly to the right. It's more prominent when you're doing taller stitches like double crochets or triple crochets. I'm going to finish with the 5 singles. Be ready to change my color. I'm going to make the last single. And do my final yarn over with my other color. Chain 1 and 1. Now I'm on row 25. I'm going to 5 singles. And then I'm going to do 2 mosaic double crochets. Turn over, get down into the same color in front of those chain 3s. I'm going to do a second one. Hold it back up. And you can see I'm bending my, whoop. Sorry, knocked the camera right off there. Let's zoom out a little. You can see we were going straight and then we start to shift this way. So I don't know that I'll finish this row, but you get the idea. And 6 singles. The technique for mosaic double crochet is really the same. It's just little changes that you can make, like shifting your pattern over, or in the case of the last one, I'm going to show you adding a bobble to the mix. That you can really change it up. And then we'll finish with 2 singles. And then I would return with single all the way back across. So this is what the back looks like. Stripey, which I kind of like it. I mean, it looks perfectly acceptable to have as the back of your work. It's not something I would feel like I needed to cover up. But you get this nice shift. And then it will continue and then it will shift back. So the pattern repeat for this row is rows 3 through 42. So it's like a 41 row repeat. You need to make sure that you finish on an even numbered row. And what's nice about this is that you can stop anywhere. You don't have to be complete a shift back. It can be somewhere in the slope as long as you finish with an even number row. Then you'll end up with a nice strip. All right, so that's gentle waves. Let's move on. So the next one I was going to demonstrate. And then as I started to chain and to really look at it, I decided it really didn't need to be, it actually threw me off at first. I thought maybe there might have been an error. Oops, too dark. And this is stripey diamonds. And the first thing you notice about stripey diamonds is it's awfully cute. Let me get my little notes out of the way. And I had not come across this before, although a couple people in class had come across this because they had done other strips previously in the book that I had not demonstrated. So I hadn't really looked at them to notice. So what I want to point out here is that what makes this one different is she does not tell you a multiple of anything. She says using color A, chain 24. So I'm like, oh, that must be a mistake. Like, how many are in the repeat? It took me like a hot minute to realize that the entire strip is the repeat. And I realized that once I started to look at the chart. The chart here is 23 stitches. So the chaining 24 accounts for a twinning chain. So if you want to make this wider, then you would have to do 46 foundation single crochets if you wanted to make it wider. You cannot make it skinnier. The pattern won't work. You need the full 23 stitches to make this pattern. If you were to double it though, then you would go all the way across and then you would start over again. And then these little diamonds would start to butt together and you would get that kind of interesting shape. Like this would be over on this side here. And you get another repeat of that. And then the diamonds continue on. So it's a nice square. It works exactly the same way. A little bit of shifting of the color, but you get these nice straight lines with this. But the important thing to notice is that I noted about this is that you need the full pattern repeat in order to make it work. If you want to make it wider, you've got to double it. The same thing goes. Then I started to really look. The one before at number 34, fish bones, is the same way. You need the full pattern repeat, all 17 stitches, in order to make the pattern work. Okay, so that is not an error in her book. It is so I want to go on to the last one I want to demonstrate, which is Mosaic Bobbles, which I thought was kind of fun. It's again something additional you can add to doing mosaic stitches and adding a little bobble into it. Bobbles are not for everybody, but I wanted to demonstrate how that works. This one, in fact, does have multiples. So the pattern is written for a multiple of 8 plus 10. If you're doing a row of chains and then a row of single. If you're doing foundation single crochet, then it's a multiple of 8 plus 9. So I have started one here. It's actually quite fun. So your bobbles are, they're offset, which means you get, in this first row, I have 2 bobbles here. And then the second time I came through, I had 3 bobbles and I skipped where these bobbles were. And now I'm back. So it's a little bit, I want to show you how it works because it is a little bit fiddly. But once you get past it's very loose until you finish the sequence, because these really aren't joined at all. And you've got these little bobbles that need to pop through. So once I come back and do the next row, then you can pop through the bobble and it stands out nice like that. And it makes kind of a fun block, okay, or fun strip. The other thing that you need to note about this pattern is that when you are doing the bobble rows, you will be making the bobbles on the wrong side. And then they push through to the right side. So if you're making a bobble, it seems wrong to be making it on the wrong side. But you do make them on the wrong side and then they pop through, okay? So I'm going to show you how to do this. So again, let's figure out what row Pam is on here. So white is my color A and the gold is my color B. So this first row would have been my foundation single crochet. And then this would have been, so that would have been rows 1 and 2. This would have been rows 3 and 4, which includes my bobble row is row 4. And then I had, let's see, 5 and 6. And let's see, 5 and 6, and then 7 and 8 includes my second bobble. And then I did 9 and 10. I'm sorry, 9 and 10, and then I have started row. I'm ready to switch my color, and I believe I am ready to start row 12. Let's just double check that that's correct. Let's do last single. I think I would remember from this morning, but not so much. So here we go. These are my clues. I'm looking for, so I'm going to have to be making some mosaic double crochets because I've got some chains to go over here. All right. So I'm going to look for a row that has 1, 2, 3, starts with 4. Oh, but you do it in both colors, so I have to remember to do that. All right, so this one is going to start with 1 single. I think I figured out that I am in row 11. All right, row 1 single, I'm going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm skipping these 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3. Okay. And then I'm going to do 1 mosaic double crochet into the top, except that is not a bobble, so that means I'm not on row 11. Means that I started over and I am on 1 single, chain 4. Hold on. I'm on row 7. I apologize because I did do a whole repeat. So I'm starting my repeat over again. Chain 1, 1 single, chain 4, skip 3 stitches, 1 mosaic double crochet in the top of that single in the same color. Okay. Because I don't want to make a, do I want to make a bobble there? I don't want to make a bobble there. Okay. And then I'm going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Skip 3. 1, 2, 3. 1 mosaic double crochet in the top of this bobble. So that works out because the bobble is there. So when you're looking for the top of a bobble, let's zoom in. This question did come up this morning. Where is the top of the bobble? Because then I'll show you how to make the bobble. So I'm going a little bit backwards. So the bobble is a series of double crochets. You make the beginning of 5 double crochets, and then you pull them all together. So you begin and end with 1 stitch. It does not increase the number of stitches. But at the top of it, where it comes together, slightly to the left, you'll see a familiar looking chain right there. So that's where I want to make my mosaic double crochet, is in the top of the bobble, which is going to be slightly to the left of the bobble since we're turning our work back and forth. Right. Let's say it, double crochet, and it pulls up nice and straight there. Chain 4, skip the 3, mosaic on the top of that single. Chain 4, skip 3, mosaic double crochet on the top of the bobble. Sure it's there. Chain 4. Single here. And then this ends with a chain 4 and 1 single in the last stitch. Now I'm on a bobble row, which is why it throws me off. It can be a little bit confusing because you're not doing the bobbles on the row you think you're doing the bobbles. I'm going to make the bobbles on this next row. Okay. The chain 1 and turn. Now I'm on the wrong side. 1 single. Chain 4. I'm going to bobble in. I'm going to skip this chain. I'm going to put a bobble right here. Okay. So yarn over, go into the stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, just like you're beginning a double crochet. But instead of finishing that double crochet, I'm going to yarn over. I'm going to go back into the same stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Now I've started a second double crochet, but not finished it. Same thing, yarn over, pull through 2. That's 3. And that's 4. When I have 5 loops on the hooks, I have the original loop that started on the hook and the beginning of 4 double crochets. So there's the beginning of, zoom in a little. There's the beginning of 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I have 5 loops on the hook, then you know you're done. Bobbles can be any size. Generally, I would say they're anywhere from 3 to 7 of these. If 3, it would be narrower. 7, it would be really puffy. You could alter this if you wanted to. I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to pull through all 5. To make that work, yarn over, take the stitches that you've made and pull them away from your hook and turn your hook down and just let it slide through. Let the hook do the work. Okay. So now I've made a bobble. I'm going to chain 4. I'm going to do a bobble the next stitch, chain 4, skip the chain 4, space 1 single, sorry. Back to the beginning of the repeat. 1 single, chain 1, 2, 3, 4. Put a bobble here, yarn over. Pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. I've got 2 loops on the hook. Yarn over, go back into the stitch. Pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Again, until you've got 5 loops on the hook. But you got to pull through those 2 loops first for the beginning of a double crochet. All right, I've got my 5. Yarn over, pull it away, and let it slide through. Chain 1, 2, 3, 4. A single in the next. And you notice I have not touched the white yarn at all. 2, 3, 4. A single here. And 1, 2, 3, 4. A single in last stitch. And I'll be ready to switch colors here. So I'll drop that one, pick up the white, chain 1 and turn. Okay. So that's the only place that the gold is connected to the white is the beginning single and the ending single. Okay. Which you're going to get in this particular pattern. You're going to get rows where they're only connected at the end, and it feels very floppy, particularly in the beginning. Okay. So here's the, well, I was supposed to make a bobble there. Oh, look at that. I was supposed to make a bobble there. It's clear. I was supposed to make a bobble there. But even though I made it on the other side, it it because it's really just kind of a flat fan, but when you bring it back to a single stitch, it puffs. It could puff either way. So it really does puff out. Okay. So we're going to have this nice hole where a bobble should be. I should have made a bobble there. This is row 9, one single, the first stitch. So this happens to be one of those where you are making mosaic stitches in both colors. So I just finished doing them in the gold. Now I'm going to be doing them in the white and making chain spaces in both colors and mosaic stitches in both colors. Not all patterns are like that. Sometimes you're just doing it in one color. Right? And then I'm going to chain 2 because I should be skipping the 1 stitch here, which really should be a bobble. And then I'm going to do 3 mosaic doubles there. Chain 2. We're skipping this. So the chain 2 is to skip this 1 stitch. And do 3 more. I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3. Chain 2. And again, I'm not really connected to the gold at all. So it's very floppy. So now I'm going to chain 2 and I'm going to skip the top of this bobble. And just don't worry about it right now. Just kind of go over it. I'm going to go into the chain space and go here. And it's covering the bobble now. Don't worry about it. It will pop through. 2. Chain 2, skip this one. Let me just do this last here. And I'll show you how to pop the bobbles in. There's a lot of texture to this particular strip, which I kind of like. Chain 2, skip the bobble, and 2, and 3. And I believe I finished with 1 single. Connect back to my gold. Chain 1 and turn. So it doesn't look like much until take that bobble and pull it through. I should have one there, but I don't. So it does. It makes a nice, very textured, still pretty stripy on the back. It makes a nice textured block. So definitely a little more advanced in the mosaic in that you are making mosaic stitches in both colors, not just one. And you are adding another element of the bobble to this particular strip. So very fun. So that's all I have for you tonight. Next month, we're going to move on to the filet crochet stitches. We're going to do 1 month of those. I think you'll find those very easy. It's using chain spaces to create designs, which it'll be fun. And I'll tell you, it's listed on the website which ones we're doing. But the one that I'm really excited to show you is the one that makes the little flowers, the fillet flowers. So that one that'll be really fun. And that's probably the most advanced of all of them. I'll show you a beginner, kind of a medium, and then that one. So we will see you next month for Mix and Match block of the month. And we'll see you soon. Bye.